is now time to install the software. During this process, do not plug the USB cord from the Medmont Meridia into the computer. If you have done this, then unplug it now. Insert the Medmont USB key into a free USB port on your computer. Also, make sure your computer is connected to the internet. It is needed for the installation of the license key and for the registration process. You will notice on your D drive the contents of the Medmont USB key are displayed. On this key you will find your calibration file folder, which contains the calibration file. The Medmont Studio file folder contains drivers and files needed for the installation of the software. You will also find the executable setup file. We will come back to this. User Manual's file folder contains the user manual in multiple languages. These user manuals will also populate in the software under Help. The last file in this folder is the document containing the serial number of your instrument and your license key. We will come back to this document later when we install the license key into Medmont Studio. Let's go back to the Medmont Studio file folder and double-click on the executable setup file. This will start the installation process of Medmont Studio. Click Next on the Welcome page. On the End User page, check the box next to I accept terms in the license agreement, then Next. On the Destination folder page, click Next. On the Ready to Install page, click Install. Click Finish on the Setup Wizard page. The packages will begin to load. You can select the language you wish to install, then click on OK. If your USB key has a later version of Medmont Studio software, the Medmont server will ask you if you want to install the newer version of Medmont Studio. Select Yes. There are 3 installation types: standalone, server, and client. Every new install is standalone. You can set up your office to view Medmont Studio on more than one computer, which is a server or client setup. Talk to your Medmont distributor for more information and pricing. Keep standalone selected and click Next. If this is a new install, then click Next. The other 2 options are for computers that already had Medmont Studio installed and also have an existing patient database. The next page will inform you where the database will be stored. You can change this location or leave it on the default location. Click Next. On the database type page, it is defaulted to local database. Medmont will not help you with an SQL server setup. You will need to talk to your IT team to set this option up. Click Next. The Practice Management Integration page allows you to connect to certain practice management systems. If you do not see yours, click Next. The Software Component page is where you install the components you have access to. In this case, select Medmont Topographer, then click Next. The next page confirms you have completed your configuration. To launch Medmont Studio, when the configuration is complete, keep the check in the box and click Finish. Once Medmont Studio is finished installing, we need to install the license key. Click OK. In the Medmont Studio License Manager window, click Manage. Now you need to copy and paste your license key from the Word document that is located on your Medmont USB key into the license key field. Then click Install and click Close. You will now see the components installed and the number of sessions you have. Click Close. It is important to register your copy of Medmont Studio. Click Yes. The fields that are mandatory to fill in are marked with a red asterisk. Fill in the marked fields, then click Register Now. Then OK. It is time to set up your instrument and import the calibration file. Click the Configure tab, then click Instrument Setup. The topographer's setup window will appear. Click Import. Go back to your Word document on the Medmont USB key and copy and paste the serial number. Then paste it into the serial number field. Click OK. Medmont Studio will automatically find the calibration file if the USB key is plugged into the computer. Click and select the file, then click OK. Please note the Meridia USB connection notification. In order for your Meridia to work properly, the USB cable from the Meridia needs to be connected to a USB 3.0 port or greater. Click OK. In the topographer's setup window, click on the serial number of your instrument, then click Set as Default. If you do not do this setup, every time you go to use your topographer, it will ask you to input the serial number. Click Close. In order to calibrate your instrument, you will need to plug in the power cable and the USB cable. The power button will blink yellow when only the power cable is plugged in. When both the power and USB cable are plugged in, it will be a solid yellow. For your instrument to be usable, both cords need to be plugged in. Press the power button now and it will turn a solid green and is ready to use. Now that you have the software and the Medmont Meridia set up, you will need to calibrate your Medmont Meridia. The calibration ball is located in the small white box which you took out and set aside during the assembly process. Hold the calibration plate by both sides. The calibration stem is not attached to the exterior of the headrest. You will need to insert the stem inside the slot in the patient headrest that holds the calibration ball stem. Make sure that the hole in the headrest and the hole in the calibration stem are aligned. Once aligned, inset the thumb screw and twist to the right to secure it. Now that your calibration ball is attached, it is now time to calibrate your instrument. Under the Configure tab, click on Calibrate Instrument. Once the calibration window is open, align the crosshairs on the runway to the center Placido ring on the calibration ball and the red line to the crosshairs. When you are properly aligned, your number window will say Captured. Click Next, then repeat this process 4 more times. Once you have all the captures, select the highlighted option. In this case, it is Use the current calibration, recommended. Click on Finish. You have the ability to store the calibration assembly in the back of the head of the Medmont Meridia. To do this, pull off the cover on the back of the Medmont Meridia. The calibration ball can be screwed into the threaded slot. When this is finished, you can reattach the calibration ball storage cover and you are ready to use the Medmont Meridia. Now that your software is installed and your Medmont Meridia is calibrated, you can start to explore the multifunctionality of your new Medmont Meridia.